Welcome back to Betracingnation here on Sports Night Live. Just a reminder, this is our last Thursday show for a while, but we are here on Saturday, every Saturday from 11 till 1. And don't forget the big day also on Derby Day, the 7th of June. You can also watch us on Sky 212. So you'll also have the app as well, which you currently may be watching it on, and also through the website. But Sky 212, so you can record plus, what they call it, Sky Plus these
Sky
guys.
Plus us.
Yeah,
Play
absolutely.
us back and pick out how many mistakes we make, or you know, and Billy picks out.
And how many winners we keep giving.
Can I hit the red button at some point?
They can. And for us, really, the reason behind Betracingnation is to get everyone involved. And the reason why this was brought in the first place is we are aware that everyone's out there on Twitter land and follows racing are very passionate about the sport and maybe not got a voice before. So it's about giving you the voice, the viewer the voice, getting you involved. And we'll have anybody on. And that'll include Bobby Beevers. Good evening, Bobby. Radio Yorkshire.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
He's obviously upsetting Peter.
Absolutely. I'm not going to respond to that. But I mean, that's in essence what we're trying to do here is trying to get everyone's involvement into the programme.
That's part of the fun, isn't it? I think we've all got different opinions on different things, and we'll see that in our preview of York coming up.
Yeah,
I think we've got.
But that's what it's all about. It's like any other
Yeah.
sport. Everyone's got a passion towards an opinion. Might disagree with Billy, might agree with you, but it's all about that. And
Best thing in racing, we could all three of us could be wrong. That's even that's the fun.
Frequently are, Sam.
Yeah.
What we're going to do, we're going to talk...
2:15?
Yeah, well, no, we're going to relive today. Obviously, the big story was about True Story's performance.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched it, and I didn't think the horse was ever going to get there. I kept sort of willing Kieran Fallon to do it. I hadn't had much of a bet in the race at all, but I was just assuming that the horse would pull clear at some stage, and it just never
Well,
really...
it's quite a surprise, and
comfortable.
obviously that makes Australia odds-on favourite. We'll talk about it in a second, but we have got Bobby Beevers from Radio Yorkshire on the line. Let's hope we have this time. Good evening, Bobby.
Hey, good evening, Peter. You okay?
Yeah, we had to turn you down a little, Bobby, because you was just the amplifiers here were just about to explode. But tell us about today. I mean, obviously you was at the meeting today. Couple of shocks, the best performance of the day, and obviously the story about the Dante itself.
Well, obviously it was a fantastic day up at York for day 2 of the Dante meet. I was up there reporting for Radio Yorkshire. The opener, that was a 5 furlong sprint, and that was won by Monsieur Joe for trainer Paul Midgley. Graham Lee was in the saddle, and that was one of the shockers of the day. That was a 25-1 outside. And now I did catch up with Paul after, and I said, what's the plan of action for Monsieur Joe now? He's won this race, and he said he's hopefully going to go for the Epsom Dash. So look out for Monsieur Joe. He's been to Epsom for the Derby meeting. The 2:15, that was the Middleton Stakes. Now this was a race for fillies and mares. Quite a few well fancied in this race, but it was the Roger Varian trained Ambivalent that won it. Andrea Zaini took the ride here. Now very interested with this horse because I was speaking about this live on her about her, because I did say that she came third in a Group 1 over in Maidan this year, and I think if I'm not mistaken she won the Pretty Polly Stakes last season, so she will come into this race with bags and bags of experience, and it really shows. She won the Middleton. Second was the horse I was on, that was Secret Gesture, that finished second today, and I just want to say Odelys for Carl Burke, that ran on to finish third, and I'm glad that horse did okay today, because I saw her run the other weekend at the Guineas meeting. Really didn't do well that day on the rolling mile, but today she's come up to the Knavesmire, and she's really done well, so obviously very positives for the connections. Dante, well, including myself, we all thought it was going to be all about True Story. True Story was the odds-on favourite. You know, I had a few people on the actual show with me what I was doing. We were all saying it was all about True Story, and what a different story it was, to be fair, because the Great Gatsby, the old Yorkshire trained horse of the race, won. That was for Kevin Ryan.
Sorry, Bobby, just so to make sure you breathe.
Okay.
That's all right, mate. True Story, I mean, the connections there must have been very disappointed, because obviously today Australia's got odds on, and True Story was seen as the main competitor for the Derby. So is there any reasons why at the end of the day it ran so poorly?
To be honest with you, I don't really know the answer to that. I think it might just be a case of that the horse has not turned up on the day, you know. But just regarding what you're saying about the Derby, due to the poor running by True Story, Australia is now odds on for the Derby. So Australia now odds on to win the Derby on the 7th of June. As I say, True Story, I just think it was a case of the horse didn't turn up. There was a steward's inquiry regarding the race. It was quite a lengthy steward's inquiry because Ryan Moore, when he was riding the Great Gatsby, actually came right over and Kieran Fallon really had to restrain the horse when Great Gatsby came over. Obviously, the steward said the placing remained, so that didn't really affect it. But I think, to be honest with you, Peter, I just think True Story didn't turn up today, if I'm being honest.
Okay, and just looking ahead to tomorrow, the Yorkshire Cup. That's a big race, and Michael Stout is the one I fancy. Which one do you like for the Yorkshire Cup, Bobby?
Well, there's quite a few, again, that stand out for us. Now, this is a Group 2. It's run at 1 mile, 6 furlongs. Just to tell you a few previous winners, Red Caddo won it in 2012. The Sir Michael Stout train Ast won this in 2009. And Geordieland, the Jamie Osborne train Geordieland, that won that back in 2008. So there's quite notable winners of this one. But just to read out a few, there's Glenn's Diamond running tomorrow. That's for Richard Fahey, and Tony Hamilton will take the ride again. Now, this horse won this race last year, so obviously he's returning, hopefully to win it for a second year. Azima for Syed bin Saror and Kieran Fallon. This horse won a 2 mile Group 2 at York, so this one proves he's got the stamina. He's round about 8 to 1, so he could be a nice little bet. But the one that gets my vote for tomorrow has to be Tiger Cliff. Formerly trained by Lady Cecil, now trained by Alan King. And this horse won last year's Ebor over course and distance. So for me, it has to be Tiger Cliff to win the Yorkshire Cup tomorrow.
Okay, well, we apologise if your name come up wrong for a short time on the panel, on the strap there, Bobby. But you're going to be joining us on Derby Day, Bobby.
Yes, 7th of June. I've got it booked in my diary. I've got it booked off work. I'm really looking forward to coming back down. It has been a while since I've been sat on the panel, so I'm really looking forward to coming back down. I've got my train tickets booked, and I'll see you all on Derby Day on the 7th of June.
Well, fantastic. I'm glad the viewers at home are glad and happy that you got your train ticket, Bobby.
Well, you know, I just thought I'd share that with everybody.
Okay, all the best. Thanks very much indeed for that. Look back at today and a look ahead to the Yorkshire Cup.
Thank you very much, gents, and have a good show.
Cheers. That Yorkshire Cup is very interesting, isn't it? I mean,
competitive.
I'm with Gospel Choir. I think, okay, Trading Leather on the day didn't perform up to expectations, but you've got
the step up in trip has to suit. To suit. He's going further. That's a big plus in his favour. I do think the favourite tagged the Boisteron. I think the ground's gone against it quite in a bad way.
I think
lots of soft ground, and that
it's going to go off short price. I think though. I mean, Azima that Bobby mentioned, that's one of the ones that I've written down here because of the drying ground. It's going to suit the horse, and I think Bobby said 8 to 1. I saw 10s before he came on air, and that's a nice each-way play. Tiger Cliff is the one I like, but
isn't Tiger Cliff more interesting because of the fact that it was all geared up to be trained by Alan King over
shouldn't that be putting me off the horse a little bit? Maybe the fact it's had an interrupted campaign last seen in Cesare Rich, which
it's a plan B, isn't it? But Alan King still trains a horse. I mean, it was only because
the plan was to go over hurdles, and the thought was it could even be a champion hurdle candidate.
Alan had the virus in his yard, so he shut down the yard, and that got in the way of the horse's preparation. So it wasn't that he didn't make a hurdler, it's just that it didn't work out for him, and they, rather than run him once or twice in novice hurdles...
This is a top quality Yorkshire Cup.
It's an exciting race. I think it's a really... I mean, when you think the favourite one last time out, Ascot, beat a big price one of Nicky Henderson's, I think, that Kieran Fallon was on, but did that okay, and has probably the best form in the book in the race, but I do think it's really competitive. I do like Tiger Cliff, and I think that would be probably my each-way pick, but I wouldn't be put off Azima if it keeps dry.
Have you got a Billy's big one in here?
Big one. I did think Tiger Cliff was interesting. I mean, he's got to step up a fair bit. He's got to find a bit, but he's obviously got potential, and we've not seen the best of him. So
only 3 course and distance winners though in the race, so you know what you're going to be getting.
And you can't actually undermine how important it is for course form today. I mean, we saw today with Kieran Fallon, Navarro Chief, had won there 3 times before.
Yeah.
And it's quite...
Some tracks seems to come back to more, I know, but
York does have a very
like
long straight, doesn't it? And it's pretty flat all the way round. There's no undulations or anything.
No.
So you need to work... I mean, we saw last year as the season progressed with the top-class horses that run well at Newmarket, but then went, at Goodwood or whatever. And when they went to York, they didn't run so well.
There's plenty of variables, though. Let's not forget ground conditions, elements like that. But you're right. I always tick in my box if the horse has won at the course, and if it's a particularly odd or difficult course, I probably pay more attention to it than less. That said, it wouldn't put me off the fact that...
So have we got any... I mean, obviously, you've gone with Tiger Cliff. I mean, anything down the bottom there, Biographer, Repeater, I mean, these are all big ones that you would normally consider, but is there anything in there?
Biographer, I always thought would be a better horse than it actually became as such, and I'm still waiting to really see
He might benefit from being gelded, maybe.
I think we could all benefit from being gilded. But
speak for yourself, Peter, on that one. I think
there's nothing else in that field that would...
Alzheimer would be my selection. I mean, he had a really busy season last year. I mean, he raced in Maidan throughout the early part of the year, and then he had quite a busy turf season. He ran really well in I think his last decent race was the Irish St Leger, and then he ran badly at the Champions Day meeting, but you can forgive any horse a bad one at that meeting. And they think he could still improve as a 5-year-old.
I think between that and Gospel Choir myself, and you like Azima as well, don't you?
Yeah, the drying ground is such a big plus for me there, because there's been no rain up there today. There probably wasn't any rain any rain that I can think of the night before that. And I just think the favourite may be a little bit vulnerable.
What
do
we think? I mean, so it's your selection for the races?
Between Azima and Tiger Cliff, because he's gone for Azima, I'll go for Tiger Cliff.
Okay. Azima. He's
gone
for Tiger Cliff.
I'm going for Azima or Gospel Choir. Do you think that was a...
Gospel Choir then, yeah?
Yeah.
You can't have
no, I like Azima. I do like Azima as well. What do you make of, obviously, it's Kieran Fallon riding for Saeed bin Surur, and D'Souza now sort of riding at the lesser meetings. I mean, Kieran Fallon at 49, still got what it takes.
He's obviously done something to catch their eye when he's been riding out at home.
But the argument will be he's very much more explains how the horse has won. I mean, I heard the argument that, when he won on Night of Thunder, even though it was quite strange, he was actually explaining it to Sheikh Mohammed and not Saeed Banana. The fact that he explains what happens more. I think
most trainers would say feedback from a jockey is important. I'm sure that at the top end, all jockeys are reasonably.
Yeah, you want to know, don't you? As soon as and I know when Willie has his horses on the national hunt, the first thing he wants to do is speak to the jockeys straight away while it's fresh in their mind, because as soon as they go home, watch replays, they start to think differently. And Kieran is a very experienced horseman. He's been there, done that at the highest level. That's not to say the man that he's supposedly replaced couldn't do that. He's ridden some fantastic winners.
But if you were Sylvester D'Souza now, you'd be thinking...
I'd be irritated, of course you would.
I think it's the way it broke as well. I mean, it wasn't... It sort of broke through...
But at the same time, we never know the full story of these sort of things. No. Kieran's not going to be around forever. Let's not forget he turns 50 fairly soon. How much longer is he going to be riding for? Maybe it's the fact
that's a question for you, and people at home wouldn't mind me asking this. Who's the better jockey? Now?
If you...
Big races. I mean, I'm always a big fan of the big jockey. In a big race, and we saw this with Johnny Mercer, time and time again, that extra short head here and there, people like Kieran Fallon and Frankie Dettori in the day and Johnny Mercer, they've just got that little bit extra, and then knowing, where to be in a race. And
it's the experience factor as well. I mean, how many horses Kieran Fallon would have ridden over the years? Getting towards the millions, wouldn't it? It's one of those.
Well, not quite a million.
But in comparison to the jockey that he supposedly replaced, and I noticed he got a lot of stick when the Derby horse, Derby Pretender, today didn't do too well. But then he has a winner in the next race, and you just think, well, he's not a bad jockey. It's not his fault that he's replaced somebody else. The owner and the trainers have said, right, we want you to ride some of our better horses now. It's not Fallon's fault. He'd be mad to say no.
And he's got the hunger. You can see he's got the hunger. It's not like, I'm nearly 50, I'll wind down a bit. He's not, obviously, Frankie sort of took the decision to wind down a little bit. But
I'm going to cut you short there. We've got more York coverage tomorrow. I wouldn't mind getting your view, actually. If you had one horse, what jockey would you pick to ride it? Back after this short break.